Now what I want to talk about is something I've been excited to get to for a while, which is reiteration and upgrading your outputs. So in the past lessons, we've been really going into prompt specifics deeply before even getting into really creating your own art, because I really wanted to build a solid foundation of how to create the best prompts that you can. And now we made it to the phase where we can talk about remixing and reiteration. So I have my personal Discord server, and what I'm doing is just, I'm scrolling through it so you can see how many different reiterations I go through on some of these pieces. Sometimes Midjourney will do an excellent job of knowing exactly what you want. In this case, neon light art installation over award-winning landscape photo by Ruben Wu, who's got really sick drone photography that's hyper-realistic, photorealistic, sun lighting, highly detailed, and a few of these ending parameters that we're not gonna get into yet because it's gonna be in a later lesson. But this is a little bit of a difficult prompt for what I was trying to get Midjourney to do, which is similar to this style. I wanted to get a landscape, which actually, let me just show you quickly the inspiration and the style that I was going for after seeing this person's art, which he does really badass landscape photography and flies a drone and does a technique called long exposure to get a drone to draw a shape in the sky. So I saw it and I said, huh, that is super cool. I want to see if I can create that on Midjourney. And you can see I'm going through different reiterations of using words in different orders and swapping out different things and getting to upscaling and creating variations and remixing, which is a huge part of using Midjourney within Discord. So now you know I have a specific goal in mind to create art that looks similar to this. I've been going through and using different words to try to really nail down and land the look I'm going for. Now let's go ahead and hop into the server that we created for the course, and let's start with a brand new prompt. So I'm gonna type in imagine, and let's go with award-winning portrait of a model wearing a futuristic LED visor. And I'm gonna be specific, that just covers her eyes. I'm gonna type in daylight, because I want it to be outdoors and lit by the sun. I'm gonna type in a desert, because I feel like that'll be a cool background. I'm gonna type in photorealistic, because I want the image to resemble an actual photograph. And let's see what we get. Perfect, so here are our first 4 options. Now I like 1 and 4. And by the way Midjourney numbers these is left to right. So top left would be number 1, top right would be number 2, bottom left would be number 3, and bottom right would be number 4. And that correlates to these buttons that we have on Discord. Clicking U1, for example, is going to upscale or upres the top left image. Now clicking V1 is going to create a new variation of that same image. It's not going to start a brand new set, but it's going to take the elements of this image and do a slight remix, which you would use if you liked it, but you were wanting to change something in the image. So let's say I like the first one and the fourth one. Let's do an upscale version of 1. And let's do a variation of 1, and then let's do that same thing for number 4. So I want a higher resolution version, which you would choose that if you didn't want any changes. If you liked it as is and you just wanted it to be higher definition, you would upscale it. If you wanted to use it but there was something wrong with it, then you would do a variation or version 2 of it. Now, while that's working in the background, if I didn't like any of the images that were generated by Midjourney, I would do the regenerate button. So let's go ahead and do that as well, just for this example to see what happens. And while that's regenerating all the images in the background, we can go through and we can see what we did. So it's gonna rewrite our prompt and it's gonna say what we did to it. So we did variations for this specific one. And for this one as well, we did variations, AKA creating a new set of 4 photos using what previously was in the initial photo we started with. And if we scroll down, this is the version that we upscaled. So let's start with the variations first. Here's our base photo on the top left. And if we go to the variations, we can see there's slight changes. There's slight changes in the face paint here. There's slight changes in the helmet design here. You can see each version has a slightly different look, but we keep the framing, the background, the lighting. All the main criteria is the same. We're just remixing smaller parts of the image. And you do this purposefully to fine-tune getting to the final output that you want. Now, the other option that we did was the upscale. And what that did was it took the image that we liked and it made it a much higher resolution version rather than the beginning preview that we get for Midjourney's initial output. So you never want to use the initial output as your final because that's going to be a much lower resolution version. And you can see on our base image, we have the bottom right that we created 4 new variations of. Slight change on the skin, slight change on the visor, the lighting changed a little bit, the reflection in her visor changed as well, but mainly everything else stayed the same. And then the upscaled version that we did is much cleaner. It'll take away some imperfections and just overall improve the image when you upscale it. Now, the last example is this regeneration, which I actually really like that we clicked, which was this little blue remixing wheel. This is telling Midjourney, I don't really like any of those base outputs that you did. It's not worth me up-resing, and it's not worth me creating a new variation of. I want you to give me 4 entirely new base images. If I liked one of these, I can go through that same process of either up-resing, creating a new variation, or regenerating an entirely new set of images.